Hey Barb, Shafran here from Shafran Herbals. It's been a while since I put out a herbal how-to video because I've been busy opening my own salon in my home. So my clients can see the gardens that I keep and the plants that are growing that I use to make my skincare products. And they can also see the plants that I use to make my medicines, my remedies. So sorry about that, but I should be more regular. I'm hoping to do every other week another set of videos. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Today, my video is going to talk about Echinacea and Burdock. And I'm going to show you how to harvest both of them and how to make a preparation with both of them. So I also have, just in my background for these plants, I have taken from a variety of books. I will put a link to each of the 5 books down in my comments. I have Healing Wise by Susan Weed. I have The Way of Herbs by Michael Tierra. I have Magical Plants by Susan Gregg. I have The Modern Herbal Dispensary from Thomas Easley and Stephen Horn. And my favorite, from my teacher, Rosemary Gladstar, I have Herbs for Long-Lasting Health. If you haven't taken her course and you would like to learn more in depth about herbalism, I highly suggest the Sage Mountain retreat and her online herbalism course. Today, I'm going to talk about Echinacea and Burdock. And Echinacea I have here in my Echinacea patch. I'll show you a picture. Okay, so I have all of these plants. So what I'm going to do, and I'm filming myself, so I have to kind of improvise here, is I'm going to harvest the flowers, the leaves, and I'm going to dig up some roots, and I'm going to set those out to dry. So let me show you what I'm going to do with the Echinacea here. One of the things that I like to do with plants that look like this, or flowers that look like this, is I like to take them. You've got to use a glove because they're very pinchy. And I like to take the seed head out like so. And I like to smush them up with my fingers and then just spread them all throughout my Echinacea patch so that I can have some new plants to come up. So I like to use these seeds, resow them so that I continually get new Echinacea. Okay, so I just ripped out of this hole right there, this little clump of Echinacea. I got roots, leaves, stems. This is a plant that I had snipped the flowers off of. I have lots of other Echinacea growing around it, so this spot will be filled in. Okay, so I have my clump here, and I'm going to take this inside and I'm going to wash all of the dirt off of the root. And here you can see the flowers that I trimmed off of the clump that I just pulled out. So right next to my Echinacea patch down here, I have one little burdock plant, which I'm not going to touch because they take 2 years to mature. And so this one I'm going to leave because next year this one will get flowers and burrs. So this plant I planted, I pulled it from my backyard and I put it here with my immune stuff to grow 2 years ago. And sure enough, it did bloom and get burrs this year. The plant I previously showed you just got, it got planted there by an animal or something. I don't know how because I didn't plant it there. But this one I did plant here. And you can see somebody is eating my leaves. Not so happy about that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to search my yard. I do have another burdock plant. And here I have a good burdock leaf. I have about 6 of these that I got, and the bugs haven't eaten them to shreds. So these are what I'm going to hang again in my apothecary, let them dry, and then I can use these dried burdock leaves for a tea. Okay, so now we're gonna walk through my purple door. I like, because Elizabeth Arden had a red door, I now have a purple door, into my salon. I have my services here on the wall, and you walk in, and here's my reception area, and here is my treatment area. And I have these nice little butterflies, which I love. And then right next to my treatment area in my new state licensed salon, I have here all my different licenses and credentials, is my apothecary. And it might look kind of a little cluttered, but it's organized, I can assure you. Back here, all these drawers, these are all full of herbs. So I have, well, not that one, but these ones are all full of different herbs. And one of my projects is to go ahead and label all of these things at some point. But I wanted to show you some dry echinacea from my garden. This is dried from 220. I have also yarrow and some calendula because I'm going to make a tincture for a friend of mine. I'm going to make a tincture with those herbs for one of my friends who is also a client, and she has something going on with her lymph nodes. And okay, so I'm going to make my tincture now of echinacea, some yarrow, which I bought at a Middle Eastern store, and some calendula, which a friend of mine grows and has given me. So I'm going to put like a third, and a third to kind of fill this jar up halfway with the herbs. And then the rest, I'm going to use Kamchatka vodka to fill it up to the top. And then we'll let it sit for 6 weeks. And then she will just put a little bit of that in her coffee every morning or in some water or juice. And we'll see if that doesn't help her lymphs. All right, so it's filled about halfway. And now I'm going to get my vodka, Kamchatka. It's cheap and it does the job. All we want this for is to dissolve the constituents that are in each of the plants, the yarrow and the echinacea and the calendula. It's just the solvent for our tincture. So this is just a repurposed food jar that I bought something in. I have the alcohol in here now. I have the calendula, yarrow, and echinacea. So I'm just shake it. And then I'm going to set it over here. I'll show you on my shelf. I'm going to keep it on one of these shelves here where it's nice and cool and dark in my apothecary. And then in 6 weeks, we'll get it out and we'll give it to my client. And we'll see how it goes for her, if it helps her. Okay, so I smashed the seed pods, aka the burrs, and inside were the seeds. You can see some of these little white seeds. And then I showed you the picture of them in the mortar and pestle. So next step is to put the olive oil into the mason jar, and then I'm going to start a water bath with my crock pot because I have a bunch of other things that I'm going to be infusing as well. So the burdock seed, I'm actually going to use that oil for my husband because he's got a small patch of eczema on his arm that came out of nowhere. And so I read that burdock seed oil can help with inflammatory skin conditions. And I am going to try this on my husband's arm after the oil has been infused. I'll put in the comments if it works. Okay, so I'm sitting here in my comfrey patch and I'm going to harvest some of these leaves, and I'm going to dry the leaves to make a tea because comfrey is very nutritious. I do have another video about comfrey and how to make a comfrey infused oil with allantoin in it, which is really good for the skin. So check out that other video. I'll put a link there in the comments. And I'm going to dig up some roots. and I'm going to infuse an oil with comfrey root. And again, I have another video on how to do that. I'm doing that this time of year right now. Here you can see the comfrey leaves, and you can see some comfrey root that I've dug up. Remember, in my previous video I said the black stuff, the black coating of the root is where all the good stuff is. So I'm going to hose off these things and take them in, and I will show you how to put these things in a water bath. All right, Echinacea is called a wonder herb for inflammation, and that can be anything inside our bodies or outside our bodies. If you have pus or red skin and you use Echinacea, you should see some effect after 3 days. It's also an immune strengthener and a blood purifier. Echinacea you can take every day. You can take a half a cup of the infusion or tea, meaning boiled water going on top of the dried Echinacea. Then you can use 10 to 30 drops of a tincture or the liquid extract. Or you can use 2 grams of dried powder. Usually you buy your own capsules and then you fill those capsules with the powder. And this is how we use Echinacea. I'm going to also give you some folkloric uses for each of these herbs. So these are like superstitious things or spiritual things that people have believed over the years that these plants can help with. So the first thing is that Echinacea gives you inner strength. So you can do this by holding Echinacea, the plant, by smelling the plant, the flower, by taking some of the tea or the other ways of taking Echinacea that I put in there. It helps you with inner strength. Also, you can put flowers in your wallet for abundance. Just kind of break them up, sprinkle a little bit in there. It doesn't have to be much. It could be just a petal. And see if you can increase your abundance. And finally, if you plant Echinacea, the plant, near your home, it's supposed to offer protection for your home and family. All right, burdock. Burdock is a nourishing tonic and it is a skin cleanser. So a tonic is something we take just for our overall well-being. It impacts the lymph, the sweat and oil glands, and it can also help with the respiratory system. So talking about the dose for burdock, we use the fresh root tincture, 30 to 40 drops in water only. And what a tincture is when you take the fresh root, or any herb actually, put it in a mason jar, fill it with vodka, alcohol, you could use vinegar, some people use glycerin as well. There's different solvents that you put with it. Put the lid on, let it sit for 6 weeks, and then the active chemicals get dissolved into the liquid that you're infusing it into. Not an oil, but an alcohol or a vinegar or a glycerin. So that's a tincture. And 30 to 240 drops in water per day. The fresh burdock root is stronger than dried burdock root. Dried burdock root, you're going to take a half to 2 cups per day of the infusion, which is kind of what we erroneously call tea, because we call everything made like tea, and that's not true. Tea is its own separate herb. But you're going to take a tablespoon of the dried burdock root, and you're going to take boiling water, dump that into the cup, cover it with a saucer, and then let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then make sure it's, you're able to drink it. You might want to put honey in it or something to make it taste better, combine it with other herbs, but that's how you would take dry burdock root as an infusion. And then a burdock root decoction. Decoction just means boiled. So you would take some water in a small pan, put a few pieces of the root in there, and then you would heat it up to warm to just a little bit of boil. You don't want it rapid boiling. You just want it kind of bubbling a little bit, about maybe half an hour or so, and you can have let it cool, and then that's your decoction. So you could make that fresh every day or put it in the fridge for maybe a day or two, because that's in water. It's more likely to get bacteria. All right, talking about the folkloric uses. Cools hot emotions like rage and aggression. So burdock is anything red and inflamed. Burdock is going to help calm that down. That even includes a person's mood. One other thing that I forgot to mention in my other uses is to take the leaves of the burdock plant, crush it up, and then put it as a poultice on top of a wound or any kind of inflammation. I'm going to try it with my husband's eczema and see if the inflammation goes away. It's supposed to help go away. So a poultice is when we crush up leaves and we bind them externally like a Band-Aid onto a body part. That's a poultice. All right. So next is promoting emotional stability, protecting you and your home, and how this is done is to wear a necklace of the leaves. So I'm not really sure how you would do that, whether you would tie the fresh leaves together or just maybe carry a piece of the leaf with you. I'm not sure how that's done. You can use your imagination. And you can, probably the easiest way is to just sprinkle the dried leaf around your home. Maybe put it in the four corners of your home. That's another folkloric use for burdock.